Hey everyone, I'm just going to really quickly go over the guided practice portion of task 4 with you. This is something that we went over in class, but if you weren't on our Zoom call, this will be helpful for you to see before you start task 4. So this class session was all about how to summarize data, meaning once we record data during an experiment, we have to figure out how we're going to organize that. For the most part, we put things in graphs, and there's a bunch of different kinds of graphs. You have bar graphs, line graphs, pie charts. Sometimes you just use data tables, but we use a lot of different methods to help organize our data. And the ultimate goal of this is so that we can see trends and patterns that come up in the data. So the example here takes data about the prevalence of obesity among adults aged 20 and over. So some scientists somewhere ran an experiment where they gathered information about the weight of a bunch of different adults to try to figure out how prevalent obesity was. So in the guided practice portion of the task, I'm going to show you how you could go about answering some of these questions and interpreting this graph. So first, let's think about this question right here. What is the graph showing us? What is the title? And what are the axes labeled as? So the first thing you should do when you look at a graph is try to get an idea of what it's showing us. So like I said, this is data about obesity. So if we look at the title, it's right by figure 1, prevalence of obesity among adults aged 20 and over by sex and age. So we know that this graph is showing us different percentages of obesity among adults, specifically age 20 and over. And they're categorized or put in groups based on sex, so whether they're male or female, and their age. So then if we think about what the axes are labeled as, we have our horizontal x-axis at the bottom that's showing us 3 different groups. We have total, that's all of the people that were studied. Then we have just the men and just the women. So that is our, let me mark that, x-axis. Then if we think about our y-axis, that's going to be our vertical up and down line on the side. It's showing us percent. It's really important whenever you're interpreting a graph. It's not just percent. It's always showing us percent of something. And in this case, it's showing us the percent of this category that is obese. So for example, if we look at the men, the very, very dark blue bar that's showing us men 20 and over, 37.9% of those men are obese. So we can write that the y-axis is percent of the group that is obese. Great, and so that's how you would answer the first question. Then you can start to think about what stands out most to you about the data. This is really where I look for which numbers are the biggest, which are the smallest. So something that stands out to me when I look at this is that all of the numbers, all the percents are higher for women than for men. So I can say it seems like women have higher percentages of obesity. Then when I think of trends, that's an actual proven pattern in the data. So if I verify this, I can look at each column and remind you each different color is a different age. So for men in the dark blue and women in the dark blue, women are higher. For light blue, women are higher. For dark green, women are higher. For light green, women are higher. This is clearly a trend. So then I can write a trend in the graph is that women have higher percentages of obesity than men for all age categories. So for the rest of the task, you have similar problems where you're going to be interpreting graphs and answering similar questions. So hopefully this set you up well to answer those questions on your own. As always, if you have any questions, you can contact me or Ms. Smith to reach out for help.